I do have quite a lot. I can explain, okay? Thick, chunky wool. We're doing the bottom up again.
Look at the pretty sun.
Good morning, guys. Welcome to Vlogmas day 22. I am finally doing that knitting vlog that I've been teasing you about for a while now. I know that I said that I was going to get started on that sweater that I got the wool for a couple of days ago, but I didn't have the time, so I thought this would be a perfect opportunity to finally do that. I also want to take you to my local yarn store, the wool store that I love so much, but she's not open yet. So I think we're just going to do some knitting first, just get started on that sweater, and then we're going to go to the store later. I do have quite a lot. I can explain, okay? All of the blue is for the new sweater. And I always order too much because you don't want to end up with one skein short and then having to order another skein and it being a different dye lot because it might very much differ in color. So this whole bunch I got for a summer shirt that I was going to work on when I injured my hand and I had to take a really long break of knitting. So I didn't get to this, so I'm just saving this until I want to do summer projects again. These are left over from my very first sweater. These are also left over, but they are very nice, so I might be able to do something with them at some point. Maybe it is just time to accept that I need 2 shelves. So if you have joined my channel during Vlogmas, or if you just haven't really seen any videos of me knitting yet, you may not know this, but knitting is a fairly new hobby of mine that has turned into a full-blown obsession. I cannot stop. I love it so much. If I am not doing Vlogmas, I am knitting every free second of the day. It's a little crazy. So I began knitting, I think, in January of this year, or maybe end of December last year. And I knit 2 sweaters, or I'd almost finished the second sweater, and then I got a pretty serious hand injury, so I had to stop knitting for a very long time, which broke my heart, really did. And then I started back up after the summer, and that is when I finished that second sweater, and then I finished 3 more sweaters 2 weeks ago. When was it? When I finished the one that Stefan stole. I knitted 3 sweaters for myself and 2 for Stefan. So I am about to start sweater number 6. Now, I have completely fallen in love with the Icelandic Lopapeysa sweaters. They are a very specific design, usually knit in the round with a round yoke design, so like a design around the shoulders. And they are usually made from very thick, chunky wool. It has to be Icelandic wool. And I think officially for it to be called a Lopapeysa, it actually has to be knitted in Iceland. Now, that's going to be a little bit tricky, because I'm not in Iceland, but I am going to try and get it as close as I can. So I do have Icelandic wool. So I am just going to start And then I'm just going to keep chatting with you. And hopefully I will not make any silly mistakes because I'm not paying attention. Although I do have to count a little bit. So now this specific sweater is knit in a very thick, chunky wool. It's thicker than the ones I have used so far. This is called Alla Foslopi. Will it focus? There we go. They are much more made for warmth and a little bit less for fashion. So even though I really like the look of them, they are usually just made because people really want to stay warm in Iceland. So having a very chunky wool like this is definitely going to make for a chunky, warm sweater, but it's supposed to be used as an extra layer. So I will be making it slightly oversized so that I can wear it over other clothes and preferably even over another wool sweater. So I'm going to get started, which if you're not familiar with knitting, is called casting on. So I'm going to cast on 160 stitches. So I'm going to have to be counting for a little bit and then I'll get back to you. There we go. I've cast on my 160 stitches and now I can just keep going while I'm talking to you, which feels a little bit rude because I have to look at this. I can't look at you, which feels a little weird. But if I'm not looking at what I'm doing, I don't think we're going to get a sweater. The first round is always a little bit tricky. Once the first one is done, it goes a little bit faster. So if you've been here a little bit longer than Vlogmas, you might remember my rant about the bottom-up pattern for the sweater. That was the sweater that I was working on for Stefan. I didn't enjoy that very much because up until then I had only done top-down sweaters where you knit the sweater from the neckline down, and this one was knit from the bottom hem up to the neckline, which is a little bit of a different technique. I didn't enjoy that very much. But then my next sweater was a bottom-up sweater again. And I have to say, because that one was written down a little bit different, I could appreciate that one. I actually very much enjoyed knitting this sweater. So that was this one with the cute little stripy pattern. And I can understand now that it makes sense. There is a logic to it. However, after I was done with that one, I was very determined to find myself a top-down sweater for my next project. Turns out the Lopa Pesa sweaters are traditionally all knitted from the bottom up. So I spent a couple of days looking for a pattern that I liked that was done in the round from the top down. Not one that I liked. They are there, but not one that I liked. We're doing a bottom up again, which means I am now working on the bottom hem, so the ribbing on the bottom of the sweater. And then we're just gonna work our way up. And this is actually done on very, very thick needles, which is interesting because I actually had to order new needles for this project because I didn't have them. Let me show you. I have this cute little thingy that I keep them in. I have been knitting, I think, the last 4 sweaters on 5mm needles. This one. This is where the hand trick comes in. That's a 5mm needle, which is already quite thick, so it goes pretty fast. This one is supposed to be done on a 6mm, so even thicker. So I'm expecting this sweater to be done pretty fast. The ribbing is always done on a smaller needle, and I have noticed that I'm not very good at it. So my ribbing is not tight enough, so I've actually opted to go for an even smaller needle. So now I am doing it on tiny, tiny needles. So that is just for the ribbing, and then I will switch to the larger ones. Okay, so now that I've got a good start on the ribbing, I think now would be a good time to go and visit that yarn store. Yes, let's go. Oh, we mogen blijkbaar daar niet in. Wat is er?
Geen idee.
Wat was die?
Nou, dit voor de camera, denk ik iets. Nou, dat zo.
That was weird. Of mag je daar niet in?
Ik denk het.
Stefan is coming with me. Yay!
It's never about the presents, the turkey or the Christmas tree. It's all about that glow in my baby's eyes that lights a fire inside of me. My baby's just crazy about Christmas, just Just listen to that kitten, the way she purrs. There's something in the air this time of the year. She's crazy about Christmas, and I'm crazy about her.
Welcome to my all-time favorite yarn store. It is called Liefde voor, which means love for wool, and it is owned by a very friendly woman named Frances. She has the most beautiful natural yarns in her shop, and you can always get any advice that you need or even help picking out colors for your projects. It's a lot of fun to visit. I am usually here way longer than I expect. This store feels like stepping into a cozy living room, which I'm sure is exactly what she went for. The wool is stored in those beautiful wooden wardrobes, which make it look extra warm and inviting. And she told me today that she actually got these cabinets secondhand, which I think is a very lucky find for a setting like this.
Yeah, this time of the year, she's crazy about Christmas, and I'm crazy about her.
I personally really love to use natural 100% wool for my sweaters, which this store really focuses on very much. I love the natural feel and look of it. I also love the insulating properties of real wool. You all know how cold I get. And if I'm going to spend weeks knitting a garment by hand, I really like the idea that the materials I've used are natural as well. I was absolutely not planning on buying anything today because, as you know, I have just started a new project. I really shouldn't be getting wool for the next one yet, but I do really want to make one sweater that I made before again, which is the blue greenish late checkout sweater that I will talk about a little bit later. I made that one a little bit too large, so I'd like to make one in a better size and a different color. But she is closing for the holidays after tomorrow, and I really don't want to finish my sweater during my time off and not have any wool ready for the next project. So I am probably coming back tomorrow to get it. Luckily, I can also return a couple of the skeins that I had left over from other projects. So I'll make some space on that shelf, okay?
Doei doeg, ja, doeg. Look at the pretty sun.
Now, sometimes I will order wool from other stores, but only if this one doesn't have it. She obviously can't carry all of the yarns in the world, but she does have a great selection. For the Lopa Pesa sweater we're working on today, I really wanted Icelandic wool, and she doesn't have that, so I ordered that online, but otherwise, I definitely prefer coming here. Look at the pretty sunset. Can you see? So we just had a couple of minutes of very bright sunshine in the house because it's just low enough to shine into the entire living room, even all the way back there where I'm knitting. And now it's gone. Now the sun is gone. So it's going to be a lot darker from now on. So I'm going to continue knitting in a little bit, but I was thinking, wouldn't it be extra cozy if we would start a fire and sit on the couch and just kind of make a cozy knitting evening out of this? I think that's a good idea. Let's do that. So I spent a little bit more time at the yarn store than I hoped. I just want to get this ribbing done so that I can get started on the actual sweater. The color work for this sweater starts right after the ribbing, so it's definitely not going to be like I can just race through it after the ribbing, because the color work is just, it slows me down a little. Also, I am altering the color work a little bit. So if you're not familiar, the pattern that you get comes with a color chart, and it's going to show you exactly which stitches are going to have to be which colors. I'm going to change the colors up a little bit because I wanted to. I don't know if I'm going to get to that today, Many of you asked me what would be a good pattern or what would be a good place to start your knitting journey if you wanted to start knitting now. I actually started with a very basic colorwork sweater. I've actually talked about this before. I'm not someone who likes to start something simple to learn something. I just want to start the thing that I'm wanting to learn that skill for. So in this case, I wanted to learn how to knit sweaters. That is why I wanted to learn how to knit. So I'm going to start with a sweater. That might not work for everyone, but that does work for me, because if I have to start with a hat because I want to learn the skill, I am going to hate that project, because I didn't want a hat, I wanted a sweater. I actually don't mind starting something that is just a little bit more complicated. I won't learn all of the techniques on the way. And that first sweater that I knit, I still wear that. It might not be perfect, but I still wear it. And actually yesterday I found that I'd missed a stitch somewhere, so it's starting to become a hole, so I definitely have to do something about that. But you know, I definitely learned how to make a sweater, and the next one was better, and then one after that was even better. So I think if you want to start knitting sweaters specifically, I think a really good place to start is Veronika Lindberg. She has amazing patterns. She goes by Kutovakika on YouTube. So she has really nice to read patterns. They're very easy to read, but she also has a couple of patterns that she does a complete walkthrough of on her YouTube channel. So it's a great place to start, because she will not only teach you how to read a pattern that way, but also all of the techniques. She will very clearly and in a very fun way explain how to do certain things. I did the late checkout sweater, I believe. That was the second sweater that I knit, and I did that with her video. I will put her name and information in the description box. So yeah, I think that is a great place to start as a beginner. There's the late checkout sweater, and I believe the cinema sweater is another one that she's got a video of. That one's also beautiful. I need to make this 4 centimeters high. I think this is like maybe 3. I think I'm almost there, and I think I might make it a little bit longer than 4 centimeters. I think I'd like to have it be 5. I just like the look of that. These are things that you can always just very easily customize, and I love that. I can knit pretty fast in a normal stockinette pattern, but ribbing is just something I haven't really gotten yet. That is not going as fast as I would like. I'm going to keep knitting this for a while, and then I'll check back in with you and show you where I am.
What a feeling, now it's time for Christmas. And Christmas is my favorite time of year. It's beginning to look like all my wishes are coming true, that's why I cheer. I've been busy decking the halls, I've been kind to big and small, and now it's time to have a merry holiday.
Good morning, guys. I finished this video last night completely. I edited it and everything, only to then decide that I didn't like it. Because I couldn't really show you anything. The only thing I had finished was the ribbing, and that's not very interesting, is it? So I spent the rest of the evening knitting, and I figured I'll just put in a little bit of this morning into this video as well, so that you can at least see some progress. So this is where we are now. I now have the color work at the bottom completely done, so now I can just race through it with one color, which is gonna go really fast. I will actually break this one, because I don't need that anymore. So I made some changes to the color work chart, because it assumes that you're using 3 colors. Well, I still am using 3 colors, but a little bit differently. So basically I am doing 2 colors, and I'm only using the white for tiny little accents. And also I wanted the ribbing to be the same color as the beginning of the color work. I wanted that to be one and the same piece. So here, I hope this makes sense, but the dark part here, which is supposed to be dark blue, is actually light blue. And then I've done this light blue as well, so this is all just one color. And then the accents here, The white ones here is going to be light blue as well. But then the tiny kind of snowflake here, that is going to be white. And that's the only thing. The rest is going to be either dark blue or light blue. So that is what we've done here. See, the bottom is all light blue, and then the details are going to be dark blue. And now we're going to go into completely dark blue. So the rest of the sweater is going to be dark blue, and then we'll get the color work again once we reach like this area where the color work starts. So I think I'm just going to give myself like an hour or so to work on this a little bit, and then I will start my day. I'm going to stop this vlog here though. I hope you still enjoyed it, and I hope to see you tomorrow. Bye guys.
Let's sing a carol and we'll bring it.
Did you see that beautiful footage I took above the mist? I flew my drone above the mist and it was stunning. It was so pretty.